Simulcast, the Neil Haley Show, and the Storehouse Media Group podcast with our host Sherrie of Storehouse Media Group. Sherrie, how are you? And I know we have an interesting guest today. I'm excited to talk about really the robotics side of some of the companies he works with.
Hi, Neil. I'm doing great, and I'm looking forward to it too because it's a different topic that I'd love to hear more about. But I want to welcome the founder and CEO of DNA Digital Niche Agency, Jason Fishman. Welcome, Jason.
Thanks, Sherrie. Thanks, Neil. Honor to be here.
Yeah, it's great. And so you have this agency that you created, and you do marketing. You work with robotics. Tell us more about your agency and how you got to the robotics.
Absolutely. So I run a growth marketing agency. I found capital raising to be a common theme, a common initiative with growth stage companies that we service, we partner with. And I was introduced to Reg D 506C, which is a legal exemption that allows private companies to market to investors, accredited investors, high net worth, high household income. In the later years, I found that open up to non-accredited investors as well through Reg CF, regulation crowdfunding, to raise up to $5 million using that, and regulation A+, to raise up to $75 million. As a marketing agency, it's important to have a niche, a specialization. We found it in investor acquisition, have worked on over 500 of these deals at this point, and a full spectrum of different verticals, budget levels, timelines, filing types at that. And one of our favorites is in the robotics space. I would say AI and robotics, the convergence there.
Interesting. And what you basically said is you found that niche in marketing in that specific area to stay that lane. And by staying in that lane, what have you discovered?
The strength in numbers. I began working on those Reg D campaigns, which are higher minimums, relatively higher, 25K, 50K investment level minimums. On a deal like that, you'd still anticipate 100K plus as the average investment. Digital marketing, the average order value, average transaction value at that. I completed a campaign with Rad Intel, marketing AI platform, oversubscribed at $65 million in June 2026, last month. Over 20,000 investments. A Reg CF, Regulation A Plus, the average investment may be $2,000, $3,000. But if you're bringing in thousands of individuals as shareholders, there's a real power to that. Every time you put out an update, you have this army of partners, essentially. They're all on an SPV, they're all on one line of the cap table. But you have this huge volume of evangelists talking about it on their social feeds, on their content, in person. Peer-to-peer marketing is the ultimate form of marketing, and well beyond the capital and the marketing campaign that has essentially added value to produce it, you're able to bring in all these individuals who are going to promote it as if it's their own entity.
Because they have a skin in the game.
Exactly.
So you recruit the people that are going to be investors and have them promote it in a lot of ways. Influencer marketing is a big part of it, it sounds like.
It can be. Not every campaign, but yes. And there are different rules, like you said, bring them on, then promote it, where they have to disclose they've invested. A lot of meta advertising, a lot of LinkedIn outreach, a lot of media buys with financial email newsletters, investor email newsletters, emerging tech email newsletters going out to these warm audience pools. Could consider them influencers, could consider them thought leaders. Different types of financial media. We'll take the interviews, put them into ad formats. So it's a mix. The word influencer could be, a bit broad there. But yes, it's all about social proof, the crowd effect, third-party validation.
Interesting.
Yeah, and and now with social media and everything, it's a big deal. Everybody's looking at reviews, everybody's looking at endorsements, everybody's looking at testimonials. I work with authors like every day, all day long, and that's what I say. You need to go get that social proof because that's what everybody's looking at these days.
People don't believe what they see online. We're selling investments, and even a couple $1,000, that's a large amount to just convert on a website that you've never heard of before. A company selling an interest, to be an investor alongside them. without enough investors, without enough capital, could feel like an empty restaurant sensation where, the product looks good, the menu checks out, maybe the interior design's nice, but no one else is there. If we're able to show all these other individuals, if we're able to show
Exactly.
the major thought leaders who invested, it gets a lot further. And if we're then able to point at a new publisher appearance, a new podcast appearance, a new conference appearance, a new investor testimonial, headline-worthy announcements on a weekly basis, we can build that comfortability. We can inspire action from an individual who's going to put in a few $1,000s. There's also, investors on Reg CF and Regulation A Plus that put in hundreds of thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, and it averages into that level. So we need to build enough trust with this content that we're pointing towards so that the transaction takes place.
Right. And that transaction taking place is so huge in the process. And I can't even imagine it as a marketer for 20 years, but never niching into an area like this. Understanding I've led with podcasting as my big medium, and I get most of my clients from podcast and build all my relationships through podcasting. And it's because of radio, television, interviewing all the major celebrities and all those different things. And yes, we do it everything else at our agency, but ultimately we lead with podcasting. If you're going to be part of our client base, you got to have a podcast, create lots of content, build brand awareness. But your biggest challenge of I would look at is everybody's in that startup phase. So you're trying and that's why you've chosen that niche, because a lot of marketers don't want to jump on something that hasn't have a brand yet. Explain that challenge. That's a huge, huge challenge.
It's funny, that startup phase really applies to most of our clients. Even if they're publicly traded, they're a micro cap, so under, depending on whose definition you're looking at, 300 million, 500 million market cap, we'll call it valuation. In many cases, they're still having the same budgeting discussions, the same planning conversations with us as the solopreneur who's getting started. Companies can use Regulation A Plus to direct list, to do a round and then go public from there. Same concept. So yes, there's a lot more variables. I remember buying advertising from performance ad networks, and they would want to see enough unique visitors that go to that site a month and a high enough conversion rate.
Right.
In some cases, it was 50,000 uniques and a 3% conversion rate. Without it, they didn't want to touch it because it was too much of a variable. And that is why different marketing groups wouldn't necessarily gravitate to this space. And, it's groups that are looking to raise capital. They could be short term, they could be lower budget.
There's a lot of skin in the game for you too.
A lot of skin.
And I respect that as a marketer.
Yeah.
Because I look at marketing in a way that our journey with you has to be longer term, and you're going to have to get them in the bam and go. And that means really having the right plan. Some of these businesses don't have a good marketing plan. They're hiring you. They still have a fractional, they have a CMO, they have a CEO that all think they know this business. And you have to be here to explain them, say, hey, this is what I do. I get them to that investment, so you have that money. And this is how we do marketing. And I could see that's what you do, man. That's how you have to do it, because they all have their ideas. You have those marketing departments. I'm sure you sat in with them, Jason, that they got hired. They're about to do these things and they just don't understand the power of brand or how to release a brand.
It is definitely an educational process, having to explain that and again and again and again and again, and talk about the algorithms, the numbers that need to be produced. They may think they have the best investment offering ever. They may think they have the most beautiful baby product, team, company. Like you said, unproven funnels, unproven brand will often have to do that work in real time as this is occurring. But it is very fulfilling to see all the dots connect. A very strong return on ad spend, marketing efficiency ratio, 10x, 20x, 30x, case studies that are even higher. I'll get to watch their teams grow, their product.
But you also see the ones that are sellable. You're not going to take on
Sure.
something that doesn't look like it's going to. There are a lot of businesses that got a decent first round that really don't have the standpoint to make it in the market.
Correct. There are different check boxes that need to take place before we work with the group. From there, though, I'll tell you, we don't have a crystal ball. There's these broker dealers that work with these companies, these issuers, companies issuing the investment opportunities. There are FINRA regulated portals, government regulated marketplaces with a series of these investments listed on them. And it's very difficult for them to pick winners as well too. I've seen celebrity major pro athlete campaigns fail. I've seen very small teams with scrappy pitch decks surpass all the goals and cap out, oversubscribe the entire round.
Wow. Good, Sherrie.
Well, so my understanding is, as you're doing your marketing and your niche marketing, that you're helping them like push forward and get the money raised as well for these investments.
Absolutely. We're running a direct response campaign essentially where we're measured by how many investments are coming in, what is the return on advertising spend, the marketing efficiency ratio, how much is spent, how much is raised. They could love working with us. They could be thrilled by the creative, but if that's not occurring, they may not be able to survive as a business. So, we're on the front lines of performance here. Again, it's very exciting. I enjoy it more than being one of 50 other vendors on a telecom campaign, let's say a Fortune 500 campaign. We're directly part of our clients' growth, their team. I watch them grow in all the areas that I mentioned, as well as their market share, and continue to accelerate from there. So it's very satisfying when it's all working. But if it's not, you're working with those early stage companies and they don't all survive.
Exactly. They don't all survive and you don't know what's going to happen. And that's the biggest challenge because this is their baby. How do you talk to them, Jason, and say, there's a chance you're not going to make it through and it's going to be a short-term run because you're with these companies, that's hard too, right? You stay a certain amount of time, then you're out.
I lead with the numbers. If it sounds like it's just my opinion, they could be unhappy with that opinion. They can't argue with the stats. They can't argue with the numbers. There's a website called King's Crowd, and I can point at all of the live Reg CF campaigns, as well as all of the Reg CF campaigns to date, about 10,000. I could point at the live Regulation A Plus campaigns, all the ones to date. There's some that are not included in that list that are fractional and real estate type of opportunities. But I'm able to point to that for other types of investor marketing initiatives and show, hey, bottom 50% of issuers aren't going to raise much. Top 10% are. It is more risky not to market. You need the traffic there. I talk to them about average conversion rates, 1%, 2%. I mentioned those average investment amounts and how much traffic they're going to need, where if they're hitting a good conversion rate at the average transactional value, what they'll be able to produce, what we're going to do if it's not working.
So define Reg CF for us. I don't think everyone knows what Reg CF is. What is that?
That's regulation crowdfunding. So what that means is you can market to individuals you don't have a direct relationship with, actually both accredited or unaccredited, meaning there's no household income or net worth required.
Do you work with certain crowdfunding campaign programs that they're out there?
I've run campaigns on over 30 platforms, over 30.
What do you think are the best?
WeFunder, Start Engine, Republic, Net Capital, they raise the most for any portal, any marketplace. There are then these self-publishing tools where you could host the deal on your own site, such as Dealmaker and Issuance, Silicon Prairie. There's a list of these out there as well.
Wow. So I'm understanding it's crowdfunding. So Reg CF is crowdfunding. I did not know that term. Thank you for giving me that term so our audience understands.
Yeah.
And you and I can have a marketing discussion on anything marketing because once you understand marketing, there is just basically strategy and if the company's ready to deliver. Because it's really sad if you don't have a sellable client. That's hard to market. But you have a sellable client and you still can't market them, you're sad.
Yes. And there is a distinction with crowdfunding from reward and investment. So this isn't an Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign.
Right. That's where I want to make sure. What's the difference in that when it's an Indiegogo or a Kickstarter? Like I have a client who's raised funds for a movie and they hit it in 20 days. Their funding. And I didn't do the marketing on that. I did some of it. I did it for them, meaning he's my author. It's not his movie, meaning he's a piece of the pie. I said, okay, I'll run a bunch of social posts, put them out there on your platforms and just for extra things, but he reached it in 20 days.
Sure.
But define the difference of those. What's the difference in those type where people say, okay, I'm going to go raise money, but I'm going to use like Kickstarter, I'm going to use GoFundMe or those type.
Well, GoFundMe is more for donations, charity. Someone's in the hospital, you're giving funds.
Okay, that's GoFundMe. What are the ones for movies? Movie investment.
Indiegogo and Kickstarter are
Okay.
reward crowdfunding platforms.
Okay,
You're not
Kickstarter there.
investing into the company. You're essentially giving a donation, but you're getting a reward
Oh,
for
okay.
it.
That's the
So
difference. A Reg CF crowdfunding, you have to give them something, a piece of the company if they
you're
become an
investing.
investor in a piece of certain things.
Exactly, exactly. So I think the average raise on Indiegogo or Kickstarters, 25K. Uh, it's very
Yeah.
low, under 100K. Reg CF average, you're talking around 360K. But really, you could raise up to $5 million. We just completed a film project that's raised over $2 million on April 30th. Faith-based film, a film called Daniel. And I just spoke about that one, other ones on a panel for Digital Hollywood last week.
Oh,
Entertainment's actually
cool.
a popular vertical here because you can have shareholders that are promoting the release of the film and the distribution. It very much fits into the modern studio model.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, they're looking at certain things. I guess it's that I can't I always get confused on those different. I think it's probably a Kickstarter. I forget which campaign it was because again, it's not my purview. It will be if I had a client in it that was
Sure.
really it told me I want you to do marketing for this. I'm not going to say no because I do more of a fractional CMO work where my agency pretty much leads with AI and podcasting, but we really are not niching into a specific area except podcasting's where it comes for me. But I understand exactly the challenges you're bringing because of the table because you're really only marketing to a certain few people. So you really have to target correctly. You really have to understand the algorithm and you really have to understand what that client sees they're going to have to spend and ad spend and everything to
Yeah.
end up delivering on the investment.
Absolutely. But it is a powerful set of tools that allows them to go beyond their first degree network and reach more investors. Furthermore, if they're B2C, business to consumer, they could be targeting their customer base as well as their future customer base. There's been, mom and pop local businesses that'll raise $1 million in a month from 300 of their patrons. There are companies that launch using investment crowdfunding and build thousands of customers that are also shareholders, as this term in the space of investimers. So you're able to bring that on. B2B, business to business. A lot of the companies that we work with are business to business. It's retail investors, individuals who read about these industries, read about these topics, the growth, and then learn about the investment opportunity. They're putting in a relatively small amount. So regardless of what the public markets are doing, it's a lot easier to get a check for $1,000 than it is for 100,000 or for 2.5 million. So you can have this strength in numbers. You can have a volume of
Right.
small investments hit your full goal, even if the news cycles are having an impact on the public investment marketplace.
And how much of a challenge it is, but it seems like it's not. You're a strategist. You're very good at strategy. That a lot of marketers that are competing for the same content that might not niche or are in this industry really don't understand strategy or implementation of campaigns. They just lead with what they think they know. They're not investing in lots of the research that's out there in AI. But at the end of the day, how powerful we have to be in strategy and really figuring things out because AI can figure the rest out for us in so many ways.
Yeah. AI is funny, right? It's like you see all this AI slop out there. It's all a matter of who's the captain, who's behind the wheel, who's behind the helm. I see all these flyers and posts, and you can just see this is blatantly AI.
And it works sometimes and it doesn't. And in
Yeah,
ChatGPT's latest one, you could tell everyone's doing that. They can still design things with Claude Design, be able to make things clean and perfect and look like a designer, but you have to have some sort of brain in behind it.
you have to have that expert behind it. You could streamline time. Our creative team will use it for inspiration and to
Yeah.
build from there. But it is very much about the strategy. I like the analogy of playing checkers versus playing chess. hey, I'm going to go back to the same marketing channel stack I use for every campaign. We're just going to launch that. That's what works. Look at all our great case studies and home runs. We're awesome. Versus, hey, this is a brand new initiative. It is very important. It's do or die for this brand. Whether it is or not, I've found smart entrepreneurial marketing. You treat each budget as it has to produce the next. And regardless of the company's size, we've seen much stronger results with that type of mindset. So it all begins with the strategy. You're building an algorithmic roadmap and testing things out to get results very quickly versus burning through budget because it's part of your normal system.
Yeah, isn't that burning for money, cash? That's where I'm not. I like to sometimes strategize with paid ads, but it makes me nervous at times too. I guess when you have a proven thing, there you go, and you like that. That's where your niche is for sure. Sherrie, any questions for Jason? Jason really understands this industry. So if you're looking for crowdfunding in two different ways for marketing this sounds like he's the guy.
Yeah. So Jason, how did they get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn. You could find us at digitalnicheagency.com. That's what DNA stands for. I like pointing to our youtube.com/@digitalnicheagency. You can see my podcast playlist, could see our educational series, our monthly webinar episodes. I have over 60 there, and a lot of great templates and ways that you can use these same marketing approaches to reach investors, which, by the way, apply to any type of round where you're looking to go after investors, even if it's ultra high net worth or towards gold investments, cryptocurrency investments, real estate. I find everyone's looking to reach investors.
100%. And I'll definitely be looking at that down the line. Appreciate it, Jason. Go to storehousemediagroup.com for all things podcasting, publishing, and marketing. Appreciate it, guys. That was the special simulcast, The Neil Haley Show.